Hello everyone. In October 2018 I made an army showcase video for the first time, and now we're January 2021, and I painted a lot of stuff in the last year, so I thought it would be fun to show you some new units and also the improvements that I made to my Vampire Counts army. Let's start with the first units. These are wolves. A year ago I had only 16 painted up, and now I have 25. So in the last year I painted 9. The group on the right, this is the latest addition to the wolf section. As you can see, they have tombstones and stuff on their bases and a fence in the back, and it overlaps a bit, so that it looks as if they are jumping into a graveyard. It's a bit of a puzzle to put together, but it looks great for this unit as a whole. And also the fence made me able to put some more color in this unit. The other wolves have no tombstones or anything like that, but they have rocks. And I also added some skulls and stuff on their bases to make them more interesting to look at. So these are 25 wolves. Then next up I have 2 Vargas. These are very well, they're not that old, but two of the oldest miniatures of my army. They were first painted for another army, but then I changed the bases so that they would fit this army. There's not much to tell about them. They're painted quite alright, and they're there. So these are my Vargas. Then next I have Necromancers. This is the first Necromancer. He's just a standard Necromancer on foot. I put him on a rock so that he could stand in a unit a bit better, because his cloak is a bit wide, so that way he fits in the unit a bit better. Then the next Necromancer is on a corpse card. This one is probably the oldest miniature in this army. So this was the first mini that I painted for this army. And he's quite alright. It's not my best paintwork, but I like the couch. And then the last Necromancer is this guy. This one comes with the Coven Throne, or rather the Mortis Engine, but I made a rock for him to stand on so that he could go in a unit. And then the book also comes with the Mortis Engine kit, but I put some legs underneath so that the skeleton could carry the book for the Necromancer. And then the ghost heads swirling around the Necromancer also come with the Mortis Engine kit. As you can see, this guy takes up 2 spaces in a unit, but that's okay. So these are my Necromancers. Then next up I have these great bats. I use these bats as great bats, as I said, but the models are some demon kinds of creatures, I guess, but I swapped the heads for ghoul heads so that they would fit my army a bit better. I put them on rocks and then added some skulls on the bases as well, to make this a bit more interesting. And then also I painted some free hands on their wings. I have 6 in total of those, so these 2 and then another another 4, so these as well. And then these, of course. Maybe a fun detail to notice is that this guy in the back has this baby bat helping him, sitting on a branch. This is from the Dryad box from the Wood Elves, but I painted him as if he was like a small demon helping his daddy there. So that's a fun detail. So these are my great bats. Then next you have a unit of bat swarms. Actually, I bought these birds. These are black birds from the Zombicide and Zombicide expansion. I think it was called Murder of Crows. And so you get a lot of these crows, and I cut them into separate crows because they come in swarms. And then put them on these bases and put them a bit higher than you would normally get, because I don't like them crawling over the ground. That doesn't seem very realistic. I also have 6 of these. These are other 2 of them. You can see they are like flying over a graveyard, and here there is a skeleton coming out of the ground. And then another 2, and they perfectly fit together like this. If you see the units from above, the cobblestone nicely goes through the bases. So I can play these as separate units or as one unit of 4 or 6 if I want to. Then next I have the ghosts. This is a like a spectral horse with a wraith on there. Also on a rock with some grass stuffs and leaves to make it a bit interesting, and a leather cloak. And I'm really happy with the blending there on the horse, and the sword is also nice. As you can see, I used like let's watch it like this. I used like non-metallic gold on the sword as well as true metal. I don't really stick to a recipe there. I just paint how I feel in the moment, and it turned out really nicely, I think. So this is pretty cool. I have another one as this one, but with a black cloak. That is this guy. He also stands on a rock, as you can see. And then he has like no leather cloak, but a black cloak. For the rest, this is more of the same. These 2, I seldom use them as raids. I often use them as a 3rd or a 4th Vargas, because their bases are perfectly fitting for Vargas as well. And then the ghost section also has 10 standard raids in them. These are raids with great weapons. As you can see, I put a lot of work in the weapons, and then painted the ghosts themselves blue. Blue is like the ghost color of my army, so that's a lot of blue there. And then also I tried to do some leather on their cloaks. It's probably not the best leather you can find, but they're very nice, I would say. So I'm very happy with these. These are not easy to rank up, by the way. They're very hard actually, so I had to make a bit of a puzzle there, but it's all magnetized, as you can see, so that's easy. Otherwise they would just fall over all of the time, so that's necessary. Okay, these are the raids. Then I have the last unit in my raid section is these spirit hosts. These are AOS models as well, but I put them together with 2 or 3 on one base. So I have 20 in total, but could make 8 spirit hosts in total with them. They are painted the same style, so this blue on their cloaks, and then a leather effect on their cloaks as well. I could have made maybe the bases a bit more interesting. Now they have tombstones and skulls and stuff, so it's nice, and some bushes there. But in hindsight, I could have made some nice diorama, like a graveyard or something. But they're fine. They're fine like this, and maybe I'll paint some more later. So these are the ghosts of my army. Then the last ghost, actually, I still have to show you. This is the Banshee. She was already painted up last year, but she's still here, so that's her. I painted some flowers on her dress and put some effort there in the mini. I don't play her that often because I don't. Yeah, she doesn't fit in the strategy of my army very well. So, but she's there, so I'm happy. So these were actually all the ghosts. Then the next section in my army is the Ghouls section. Let's start with the first 20 of them. As you can see, I paint my ghouls like this gray, and they have 2 types of gray there, like a light tone and a dark tone, and then 2 colors for the hairs. Also like this dark flesh hair, and then others have like a beastie brown color of hairs. And I made this filler as well, that takes up 6 spots in total. So these kind of unit fillers make it very nice, because they break the ranks a bit, and that's interesting to look at. These are not magnetized, by the way. I still have to do this because so I have to be a bit more careful with this unit. So these are 20 ghouls. Then I have another 40 over here. And they are painted the same style. As you can see, I have some underworld models in there as well. You can see, for instance, this guy with the skeleton on his back. He's from Underworlds, and then you have this guy with the giant bone in his hands. And then this guy, I made this guy the captain. You can see I gave him a sword from the skeletons and gave it some interesting colors, so you can see that he's special and he's the captain of the unit. And then these guys have fillers as well. You can see a rock over here with the demon skull, and then on the other side a rock as well. And then of course they have a very big tree in there, like the tree takes up to 9 spaces in total. I also like made a skeleton in the back that's coming out of the grounds, and small details like that. With this army, I tried to put in a lot of small details because I think it's very nice if you look at an army for hours and you can still see new stuff, even after looking for a long time. You always discover new things. This ghoul section is not done yet. I have another 40 skeleton, another 40 ghouls. So I have 100 in total. These ghouls have also like a filler. He's a ghoul king from the dragon kit or the terror guys, and then I put him on this rock, and his base takes up to 4 spaces, so I can use him as a unit filler. And then of course this unit has this banner. I painted a black dragon on this banner, The black dragon is a bit the symbol of my army, so you will see other black dragons coming up in other units. And then this guy with the skeleton on his back with the helmet on, he's the captain. So these are 100 ghouls. Then leading them, I have 2 ghoul lords. The first one was already painted last year. This is Mr. Blue Hands, because he has blue hands, obviously. And then I put these horns on his back as well, to make him more stand out and that you can see he's a character. From a distance, he is really noticeable. So he's quite interesting. And then I also painted another ghoul lord this year. This is a ghoul from the Grimcast Reapers from Underworlds. I painted the stone that he stands on. I painted that blue to make sure that he's noticeable from a distance. And then I painted this halberd in a non-metallic bronze. This was the first time I tried this bronze in non-metallic. I'm quite happy with the results. And I really had fun, like putting interesting colors in there, like blue and oxide colors. So these are the ghouls of my army. Let's take a moment to get these out of the way. Then next up in my army I have the skeletons, of course. Well, these are not all the skeletons I have, but these were going into the bases and movement trays, I mean. I have, I think, like maybe 15 or 20 of these tombstones in total. I use them just to fill up the spaces or to put in characters if they are a bit too large. It's very handy to put them next to tombstones so that they fit in nicely. Now the skeletons themselves, let's start with the first unit of 60 skeletons. These skeletons have spears and shields, and also a unit filler. So I have this grave, and there's a spirit coming out of the grave in blue. That is a really nice way to put some color in a unit and to make it more interesting. Also, they have this bat in the back. This great bat is from the Underworlds, from the Grimghost Reapers as well. And I just use him as a ghoul or as a skeleton if I want to, and that makes the unit more interesting to look at. So these are 60 skeletons. Then next I have another 60 skeletons. These have shields and spears as well. And as you can see, I made another banner for them because I don't like the banner from the standard skeletons that much, so I made this one instead. As you can see, there's not much space on there to paint anything, so I tried this dragon shape, but it's really not my taste. It's a bit too small to paint anything interesting, I would say, so I made this banner instead. Maybe later on I'll make my own banners that are a bit bigger and give you more space to paint something interesting. And then these are not all the skeletons I have, because I have another unit of 60 skeletons. So I have 180 in total, but that is counting the tombstones as well. So I could use the tombstones as ghouls instead, and then I think I have 160 or maybe 70 skeletons. Oh yeah, something I didn't show you yet was this statue. Just as the grave, this has like blue ghosts swirling around, and that's a way to put a bit more color in the units as a whole. So that looks interesting. And then this unit has the Coven Throne in there. As you can see, this unit has swords or just normal hand weapons and shields. These were the first skeletons I did, so their paint quality is maybe a bit less than these that I painted later. But overall, they are painted the same style and they really fit together. And then the throne, of course, is painted blue as well. So I tried to pick out some details. Many people would just paint all these ghosts and skeletons in the same ghostly color, like green or blue or something. But I chose to pick out some details there, so that it makes it a bit more defined. I see there's a bit of dust there, so yeah, I need to take that away. I'm maybe not that happy with the brown of the throne itself. Like this dark flesh color is not really matching the beastie brown color of the rust and their clothes. So yeah, but it's all right. I cannot paint it all in the same brown too. So I don't know what I could have done better there. The vampire himself, he's actually a chaos sorcerer. But I swapped the head for a vampire head. So now he's like a nice vampire, and his armor is the non-metallic gold as well. Okay, so these are the skeletons with the throne. So 180 in total. Let's put them aside for a moment. Then next up I have these barrel guards. These are the barrel guards of my army. They were painted like in the beginning, so before all the skeletons and all the ghouls were painted. But they turned out very nicely, I would say, with a lot of rust and oxides, so that it looks as if they were laying under the ground for a very long time before they were raised. And then later on I painted this banner as well, like they have also a black dragon in there. As you can see, this banner is a bit bigger and it gives you more space to paint something interesting. This unit has great weapons and shields as well to make sure I can field this unit with both weapon types if I want to. So I don't have to paint another 40 just to be able to field another weapon type. So that's okay. Well, maybe that's something for the future, to paint another 40 and give them both their own specific weapons. But for now, I'm doing everything with this unit. Then next I have 15 Baronites. As you can see, I painted the Baronites in the same paint style as I did my skeletons, though they have no rust like the skeletons do, because they have a lot of brown in the cloaks on the horses already. So I thought that would be a bit too much brown of that type, and then I focused on the black armors instead with oxide, and this way they really fit in the army. Also, they have a small banner like this with already some icons put on there on the sculpt, so you don't really have much choice of painting there. Not a lot of space to paint something interesting, but that's okay. As you can see, I brought a bit of variation to this unit by giving them some other shields than those they come with. So, for example, these are the vampire, like the Von Karstein upgrade pack shields, and then the wooden shields are from other kits. I think this is from the skeletons. This is an Bretonnian shield that I painted that wooden texture on there, and then you have Graveguard shields and then an Empire shield. But in hindsight, I should have just given them the metal shields that they come with, like this one, and maybe the upgrade shields, the black shields, because they look better that way. I think the wooden shields don't look that great. But I couldn't get them off easily, so for now it's just like this. I'm not planning on redoing this. But I'm happy with my 15 battle guards. Baronites rather. Okay, then next unit I have are the Vampire Knights. These are 5 Vampire Knights. Actually they are Chaos Knights, but I converted them slightly so that they would look as Vampire Knights. The one on the left is converted the most, and the best I would say, like the helmet is nicely done. And also painted some black dragons on their shields as well. And on the banner. Maybe these Vampire Knights have a bit much blue in there, a bit too much, I would say, for these knights. Maybe if I do another unit, I would rather paint them black instead, and then only put the blue in details. But on the other hand, they're still Vampire Knights, so they may stand out a bit in the army as a whole. So for now, that's very nice. As you can see, I also made some rocks there. These are actually harder to rank up. So as you can see, I had to glue them so that they would rank a bit more easily. Okay, so these are the Vampire Knights. Then the last unit that I want to show you is my Vargas. I would think this is the most beautiful unit in my army, because I made this little diorama with the wall and the mausoleum there. It was a lot of work to put them this way. It's a bit of a puzzle to put together, but it's really nice as a unit as a whole. So that's very nice. As you can see, there are only 7 Vargeists there. So in the back you have this one, and then over here you have like this house, and this house takes up 2 spaces, and actually there's just an empty base there, just to put the house over. You don't really notice this gap if the house is in its place, so it really fills enough. I'm also very happy with the painting I did on the wings. It's just more than your standard one color, and I painted a bit of like a pattern there. So that's great, I would say. And then of course a nice detail is also this orc, especially because my brother collects orcs and goblins, and so it was really nice to put him here. He's just shot down and tries to hide in the bushes from the enemy, but I don't think it's working that great. So yeah, he's in a bad spot there. Okay, these are the Vargas. Then I still have some characters left. Let's start with the Barrow Kings. This is a banner that I painted. He was already finished last year as well. So some of you may have already seen him. Yeah, just not the banner itself is not so very big, but he's painted all blue, so he's really noticeable from a distance, and he's my BSB on foot. And then I have also this one. This is Krell, Lord of the Undead, but I feel them just as a regular Barrow King in the 9th Age game system. So that's another Barrow King. Then the third one I've got is this one, just your regular Barrow King with sword and shields. And then finally this one. This one is from the Underworlds game from Shadespire, with the spear. You cannot give a Barrow King a spear in the game though, but it's a really nice model, and so I use him as a Barrow King, or just as the captain of a unit, but he looks a bit too heroic for that, I would say, so he's a great model for a Barrow King. These are the Barrow Kings. Oh, actually I have another Barrow King that I painted this year. This one is on horse with the BSB. Like you can see, I painted these models, these Barrow King, to like really fit in the Baronites. So I painted the horse in the same style, though I gave a little bit more attention to the armor and to details. And then of course, like you can see his helmet for instance. I converted it slightly, like the dragon on top is from a Bretonnian helm, and I cut it off and put it there, so that he looks a bit more special. And then of course the flag itself. It's actually a piece of plastic that I bended over a candle and then cut in the right shape. And then painted that black dragon on there and then some blue flames. And just really smashed some browns in there to make it a bit more filthy. And as you can see, this banner has really fine brown lines, because I tried to make it look like a linen really, and not a flat piece of plastic. So that worked out very well, I would say. So this is the Barrow King on a horse. Then next up you have this dragon. It's a colossal zombie dragon, and the model really is colossal. I would say the base is very big. In the game that's really hard, because to be really strategic, his base should be a bit smaller, I would say. But this is really something I'm really happy with. I put a lot of work in the base, and there's a lot of detail there as well. As for instance, you can see the skeleton coming out of the ground, and then someone broke through the fence there and stuff. The dragon itself is not my best paintwork, I would say. Maybe later on I would give him another paint job, but for now he's like this. Yeah, or maybe I just buy another dragon and paint another one. That's also an option. Okay. That's my dragon. And then finally I have my vampires. Last year I had no vampires, but I thought that was a shame, so I painted a few of them this year. The first one is Vlots. Yeah, he's an important Warhammer Fantasy character, but I painted him with a blue cloak so that he matches my army a bit better. Um, as you can see, he's on a very big rock, and there's a ghoul coming out of the ground here, so that way I made him a bit more interesting. Though it's hard to put him in a unit. As I said, I have these tombstones and small bases to fill in the gaps, and if I use them, he fits in perfectly, so that's nice. Then besides Vlots, I have Conrad. He has two hand weapons, and I painted his armor black because I think he looks great that way. He looks very dark, also with the bats. And then just painted the swords blue, just to put some blue in there and to define him as a character. So that's a really nice model, I would say. Then next and the last vampire on foot is Isabella. The same goes for her. I gave her black armor that maybe was a good choice, I would say, and then a brown dress. And then finally you have this vampire. This is Manfred, or Manny for the friends, but he doesn't have much friends, so everybody says Manfred. And as you can see, I painted some non-metallic gold in there, and then a true metallic sword. So it's a bit mixed up there, but that's alright. It looks fine. And then apparently he reads books because he has a book there. Also try to paint an interesting pattern on the horse. Don't know if that worked out great, but he's alright. And then finally, I have a vampire on a horse. This is a conversion that I made. The body comes from the Coven Throne kit, and then I put it on a Barrow King horse, and I slightly converted it. As for instance, I filed the foot of the skeleton and painted it as if it was a boot, and then I gave her the sword of the vampire dragon rider. So I'm really happy with this sword. It looks really old and still sharp. I also put in some work in the armor. Like you can see the really small dots in there, so that it really looks a bit old and worn. And that's her back. Okay, so these 5 vampires in total make my vampire family. This was my army. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and maybe I'll make an annual tradition out of it. Maybe I can show you more of this army next year. So happy painting, everyone, and happy 2021.